Remaker's Mark Special Episode 27, Wrong Answers Only. Hello everyone and welcome back to Remaker's Mark. Here we are in our 27th special episode, which we are titling Wrong Answers Only. And really this one is fueled by the internet, specifically meme culture, which everybody loves, right? Who doesn't love a good meme? Okay, fair. There's some pretty bad ones. But this one's actually pretty good. The meme that we're referring to is Wrong Answers Only. I first was made aware of this on Twitter, I think, and then I saw it kind of spread out from there. The idea is that someone will post a very obvious picture of what something is, right? Like it's one of those things that most people will know, and they'll say, tell me the name of this movie, wrong answers only. So, for example, you could put a picture of Luke staring at the dual sons of Tatooine and say, what is this movie? Wrong answers only. And then people would say, there will be blood or whatever, right? So they're very silly, very funny, very goofy. So given that most of our job is to try to make good choices in this podcast, which are questionable sometimes, don't get us wrong, but rather we wanted to make some bad choices. So this is going to be essentially a recasting episode in Wrong Answers Only. Andy, for the first round, you are our first individual. Who are you going to be recasting and with whom?
I am Individual Prime. I was worried that I was going to have a hard time coming up with answers here, especially because originally I was only expecting that we had to choose one, and then I saw on the script that we had to do three, and I thought, oh, geez. But then once I started thinking about it, it really came along pretty quickly. And I'm pretty happy with my choices. So, for round one, I am recasting the fairy godmother from Cinderella. The fairy godmother, just to give a little background and a little trivia, was originally voiced by Verna Felton, who was a veteran voice actor from the 1940s to the 1960s, and who also played such characters as Mrs. Dumbo, the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, and Flora from Sleeping Beauty, one of the fairy godmothers there. So, anyway, so we can all picture the fairy godmother.
Classic Disney voice.
Classic Disney voice. Mm-hmm. And really, to kick us off, I chose to recast this role with Harvey Keitel.
Out of the gate, one in the chamber,
yep,
and lets it fly.
Yep.
I do want to hear Harvey Keitel say bibbity boppity boo.
Yep.
I feel like that has some serious potential.
Because I also could see a remake, since we're not really talking about that, but here we are, of perhaps a little vengeance towards the wicked stepmother and stepsisters from the fairy godmother, kind of like the wolf. But anyway, so Harvey Keitel.
I mean, the fairy godmother is essentially
the wolf,
the same role that Harvey Keitel played in Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
That's true. The fixer.
Yeah, he's the fixer.
He just comes in and cleans everything up.
Yep. So to start us off, the fairy godmother from Cinderella is now voiced by Harvey Keitel.
I like it. That's bold and dumb. That's what we're here for.
I do what I can. Jeremiah.
Yes.
Who would you like to give an incorrect answer for?
Well, I'm going to stay in Disney, and today really was the first day that I got to see all of everybody's picks, and I don't know who they're replacing them with, but this list is gold. Mm-hmm. This is going to be so much fun. I'm sticking with Disney, and I'm going to be recasting a beloved role and an iconic role, and that is the role of Mary Poppins.
Ooh,
from
can't wait.
The original Mary Poppins. There has been a remake, so she has sort of been recast by Emily Blunt already. But I'm going to sequel. Yes, that's true. Yeah. So not quite recast. So I'm playing this game as if this was recast at the time it was made. So
original
1964 was when Mary Poppins came out. They tried to, or they were looking for somebody in the song and dance style, and Julie Andrews was all of that. She's a big Broadway star, had a great voice.
Mm-hmm. She was all that.
Very much in that kind of vaudevillian Broadway style. So I just suppose that maybe she was busy and they needed to go with their second choice in the same vein, and so I chose Ethel Merman.
Oh, man.
Just a spoonful of sugar.
That's exactly what I was going to do. Oh, my God. So good.
You'll be grand. You'll be great.
Oh, my God. That's really good. Just all the smoothness that is Mary Poppins.
So brassy.
Just gone. Just very gone. It's not a gentle movie anymore.
Nope.
There's so many scenes of the two kids with their hands over their ears, just looking at each other. What's happening in our room?
And still a very American accent, too.
All right. That's Mary Poppins, as played by Ethel Merman. Kyle, bring us a little closer to present day.
Sure. So we're gonna talk about Reservoir Dogs, a brilliant film featuring generally pretty great casting. The one exception to that is the role of Mr. Brown, originally played by Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino is the director of this film, and really, he did an extraordinary job, right? I mean, the movie is great. It's a landmark film in terms of indie cinema, right? It has so much going for him. He's a director acting. There is no doubt about that. He is completely outclassed and outacted in every way in this movie, and I'm glad that he dies early. And so I thought, who would be even worse than Quentin Tarantino circa 1993 or whenever this movie was made? And I thought, really the only worse choice than Quentin Tarantino from then is Quentin Tarantino today. So my recasting is Quentin Tarantino today. He has become an unsufferable white man, and TM. I mean, he's the worst.
Man.
And I still like his films for the most part, though less than before. But man, it's just like if Quentin just stopped talking, the world would be a better place. And that speaks volumes in this role because he talks a lot in that first scene around the diner table, and it's so bad.
Could you
the
imagine
only
Quentin Tarantino and Ethel Merman getting into an argument with each other?
Yeah. See, the hard part with this is part of me wants to see these things because I was like, well, now I'm genuinely curious. But not so much this one, but the other ones, yes. So yeah, that was the ultimate wrong answer is Quentin Tarantino from today, taking over for Quentin Tarantino, 30 years ago when he was, young and spry and less of a jackass, though still a jackass. Today, he's much more.
I saw a moderately recent talk show with Quentin Tarantino on as a guest. It was Conan or somebody like that, some late night talk show. And the game that they played with him is that they showed him the VHS cover of some obscure movie with the title blacked out, and he had to figure out what the movie is based on just that and the description of the movie on the back. And he either had the right answer or a story about each movie, and it was the most pretentious segment I have ever, and it wasn't intended to be that way.
Yeah.
But God, he just turns everything so. Look at how smart I am about movies, and look at how much I know about this business, and it just grated on my last nerve.
Well, it's so funny because that should be a great story, or that should be a good bit. You know what I mean? Because I love his story. I love that he was, guy that worked a video store and then just watched every movie ever and absorbed it all and then made his version of every movie ever through his lens. You know what I mean? Like, that is a great story. It should continue to be a good story. He makes it bad.
Yeah.
Which, that's just is what it is.
Perhaps his best cameo in any of his movies is in Inglourious Bastards, where he plays a dead body getting scalped.
That's funny. I forgot about that. I don't mind him as much in Pulp Fiction. Like, he's kind of an everyman, but I don't want to know that everyman. But still, yes.
That's he's good in that scene. He's okay in that scene.
Yeah. I get the good stuff. My wife gets the crap. Lee, on to you. What is your round one pick?
Mine is a little more related to the saga of how this movie got made. And it speaks to how short-sighted movie studios can be at times. I'm recasting Michael Corleone in the Godfather movies. And if anybody has seen any documentaries about just how horrible the production was on this movie, you might know that the studio for this role wanted who I'm picking for it, and that's Robert Redford.
Wow,
Ugh.
really?
They wanted him because he was such a big star at the time. And Francis Ford Coppola was like, no, absolutely not. I know he's a big star. He might bring in viewers to the movie, but he's absolutely wrong for this role.
Roberto
And-
Redfordo.
Yeah. And they're like, well, there are blonde Italians. He's like, well, yeah, that's true, but he's wrong for this role. And
Well, and thank God too, because that would have totally changed his image in the public and his roles going forward from there.
yeah.
Mhm.
He wouldn't have gotten near as many of pie in the sky, babyface, good guy roles after that.
Right. And I just can't picture him as, you know, in the beginning, Michael's sort of he's a very heroic figure. You know, he's a Marine veteran. He comes back from the war, a decorated hero and all that stuff, but he takes a very dark turn. I just can't see Robert Redford doing that. And, you know, just having that sort of good guy look on his face while he's doing it. I wouldn't buy it at all.
I love the history behind that lead. That's really good. So
Yeah.
this is like an actual potential wrong answer. Like,
Yeah.
This is a alternative timeline wrong answer.
Yeah. It's a wrong answer that almost happened.
Yeah.
I almost did the same thing with Mary Poppins because one of the original people that was chosen before Julia Andrews was Angela Lansbury.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
But
That
I
would have
didn't
been an
think
interesting
I
character.
didn't think that was wrong enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, could definitely be more wrong than that.
So let's move on to Mark.
Well, I'm going to bring us back to Disney
All roads lead there.
because I am going to be recasting the Marvel superhero Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is portrayed in the modern MCU by Benedict Cumberbatch, the tall, handsome Benedict Cumberbatch with the magical baritone voice. And I really wanted to focus on not having that magical baritone voice for my wrong answer for Doctor Strange, and I chose Kristen Schaal.
Nice.
She is pretty strange, and I could see her as a doctor, but then everything else kind of falls apart.
Yeah, despite the last name Strange, there's a lot of gravitas that should come with this character, and Cumberbatch does a good job of it. I think it would be hard to take Kristen Schaal seriously.
I love her.
I do too. I adore her.
Has she been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe yet?
Ooh.
I don't think so.
Well, give it time, I guess. But
Yeah.
Doctor Strange might not be where she lands as far as that entry, but
Stay tuned.
it'd make a heck of a movie. You know, I would love to see if they did more of the What If series.
Yeah.
And if Benedict couldn't voice the animated version of Doctor Strange, just calling Kristen to do the voice of the animated Doctor Strange. That'd be fine.
Yeah, honorable mention would be if Bradley Cooper couldn't do Rocket Raccoon, then Kristen could do that.
Nice.
Or Groot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's funny. Into the Spider-Verse, I think if you said out loud, I think there should be two other options for Spider-Man, one being John Mulaney and the other being Nicolas Cage. You'd be like, no, those are dumb. That's really dumb. But Into the Spider-Verse showed us, you know, as a pig and a, you know, film noir Spider-Man, they were perfect. They were amazing. So,
Yeah.
never know. All right, so that wraps up round one. We're going to go right on to round two here. Lee, you are going to be kicking us off here. What do you got?
Well, my second pick is a pretty well-known comedy, although I doubt it won any awards. I'm recasting Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. And
Nice.
it's a character that survives solely on what the actor brought to it. I think that, like, if you read the words on the page, they're not that interesting. It's not that interesting of a character. But then when you see what Jim Carrey did with it, he really brought that character to life and made him memorable. My wrong choice is Johnny Depp. And it's, some people might argue and say, well, he can do physical comedy and all that stuff. But, you know, Ed Wood it would be a good example of, him doing a good job with, being physical and all that stuff and being funny, but he doesn't have the right kind of physicality to bring this kind of character to life.
I would
opinion.
reference his version of Willy Wonka as a not correct version of what to do.
Yeah, that was a wrong answer too.
That's the wrong answer that actually happened.
Yeah.
When he's doing quote unquote comedy, like Jack Sparrow being silly and the physical comedy and stuff, there's always this wink at the camera to the bizarreness that he's doing. And what made Jim Carrey so great as Lloyd Christmas is that he was 100% sincere the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was 100% in that character.
Yeah. Same with Jeff Daniels too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know that I've seen. I don't think I've seen Johnny Depp be sincerely funny in anything. It's always a wink, wink funny.
Yeah.
His sincere roles are not comedy.
Yes.
And I didn't really care for like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies all that much. Like they were hyped. I didn't think they lived up to the hype, but I don't know. I'm sure people would argue with me on that he was good in that, but I really didn't think so. But anyway, let's move on to Jer.
So I'm going to preface this next pick. I changed it this morning from what it was because I didn't sleep very well last night, and I woke up at somewhere around 5 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning, and this pick, it must have been some sort of fever dream or something, and I wrote it down. I made a note in my phone, and I went back to sleep, and I woke up this morning. I'm like, okay. So I'm going to be recasting Harry Potter, and you're going to have to walk with me on this one.
This is the best type of wrong answer.
Yeah. You say that a lot, and every time I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
So Harry Potter is a very famous character, and some would say that the trio of Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson is untouchable as far as those three roles. But I am going to beg to differ and say that Harry Potter would have been better if he had been played by Kenneth Branagh. Now, obviously, he's very old and would need to be de-aged, but we have that technology, so we'll just de-age him a little bit. And then for the earlier movies, de-age him a little bit more, and then we'll be fine.
And shrink him?
The problem comes, the problem comes in that Kenneth Branagh is actually in the Harry Potter movies as Gilderoy Lockhart, so that means that we have to recast him. So I thought we'll just grab David Bradley, because he's a nice-looking guy who plays, unfortunately, Filch in the Harry Potter movies, which means we're going to have to recast him. So I thought, well, Glenn Close played a pirate in Hook, so we should just cast Glenn Close as Filch so that David Bradley could play Gilderoy Lockhart, so that Kenneth Branagh could play Harry Potter, and that's a dream I had last night.
Wow. Well played.
Wait, Glenn Close was in Hook?
Glenn Close was a pirate, a bearded pirate.
Yeah.
For one scene in the movie Hook.
Yeah, one shot, I think. Not even enough.
Yeah,
It's like one shot.
Didn't have any lines, a very obvious fake beard, just sort of whimpering, and then that was it. And it's the most bizarre cameo that I think I know of.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect.
But yes.
I love it.
After I woke up and I said, Kenneth Branagh at Harry Potter, what? What was I thinking? Nope, just go with it.
Kate and I were watching Harry Potter with the boys. This is a few years ago, probably like 6-7 years ago. And Kenneth Branagh came on as Lockroy, and she's like, Ewan McGregor's really let himself go. And I was like, sweetie, that's Kenneth Branagh. She's like, oh, I need glasses. And she got glasses like a month later. So that's kind of like a meme in our house. Like, wow, Ewan McGregor really let himself go.
All right, Kyle, move us along.
Yeah, so no time travel for this one. Rather just, let's call it juxtaposition. So I'm going to be recasting the role of Jack Horner in Boogie Nights, originally played by Burt Reynolds brilliantly in a career-reviving performance. It's a wonderful movie and a wonderful performance. It's a you don't want to like this character, but you do end up liking it. He is a porn star director and, has all of the underpinnings of that in terms of what he's into, what he provides. He's almost like a father figure, but you kind of don't want him to be a father, nor do you want them to be his kids, the people with whom he's working. But regardless, I wanted to go in a little bit of a different direction with the casting choice. So I went with television evangelist Jack Van Impe. I thought that would be, he's got a lot of screen time. He's got a lot of presence. He's known as the walking Bible, having memorized most of the Bible. So, in terms of like picking up lines, I really feel like he would just nail it. So I just think he'd bring a really interesting energy and interesting vibe and a lot of judgment to this role that I feel like the original was sorely lacking. So, Jack Van Impe, who hosted the show Jack Van Impe Ministries with his wife, Rexella.
I'm assuming, Kyle, that because you have already set precedent with Klaus Kinski, the fact that Jack Van Impe died last year isn't going to stop you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, like if this is the alternate universe, if Burt wasn't cast, who could it have been? And this was,
we're not
90,
casting
96.
it. We're not recasting it today.
I see.
This is
Okay.
Jack Van Impe from 1990 something. No, when did?
Yeah, 96. I feel like
Boogie Nights.
As
yeah.
comic book store guy once said, I withdraw my question.
I mean, Jack Van Impe looks like he could be a porn producer,
right?
So I buy it.
Oh my God.
I buy it.
I remember watching Jack Van Impe whenever it was on with Matt Ober in our first apartment here in Minneapolis, and it was glorious and awful all in one. And I feel like, that's Jack Horner altogether. So
It's terrifying. Yeah.
Good times.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mark, on to you. What is your round 2 pick?
My round 2 pick is a big one. I am going to be recasting Darth Vader.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And when I think of Darth Vader, I think probably the first word that comes to mind is imposing. It's got that, he's big, but it has that suit as well. And I suppose force choking people to death. But the real big one is that wonderful voice from James Earl Jones. I keyed in a lot on voices for this episode, and so my wrong answer for Darth Vader's voice is Jack McBrayer.
Can he be in the suit too?
Yes, please.
Jack from 30 Rock, right? He's Fix It Felix.
Kenneth.
Okay,
and Fix It Felix.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and
I want him in the suit.
Yeah, his voice is so high and gentle, and his delivery is kind of like backwoods gravy. It's also gentle and kind of slidey.
I've never heard the term backwoods gravy before, but that is exactly right.
That is so perfect.
That's going to be the name of my moonshine whenever I become a bathtub distiller.
Can we rename this podcast Backwoods Gravy?
I think so. Oh, God, that's good, Mark. Nice.
Right. Thank you. Andy, who pick you next?
I am recasting the iconic role of Neo from the Matrix series. And Keanu Reeves really, I think, gets a lot of flack for his acting abilities, but I think he really did a great job with Neo because it didn't require a lot of emoting.
And he did have the perfect woe for it.
He had the perfect woe. However, I think we could do better. And I think that to really bring another level of woe to this movie, instead of Keanu Reeves playing Neo, we're going to have Betty White.
That's a wonderful wrong answer.
So I just want to see Betty White. I want to see Lawrence Fishburne attempt to explain the Matrix to the audience and Neo, with Neo being Betty White and just trying to keep a straight face.
I could just hear him be like, hold on. Internet? What?
And then just shrug her shoulders and lift up her arms and go, I just learned Kung Fu.
Show me.
And then she kicks his
good.
ass.
Betty White is the rightest wrong answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the question is.
99-year-old Betty White, God bless America.
Mm-hmm.
She's the greatest. She's a national treasure if there ever was
She
one.
sure is. She sure is.
Oh, boy. All right. Let's go on to round 3. Mark, right back at you.
Okie dokie. For my third and final pick, I am going to be recasting the role of Pee Wee Herman, the beloved kids show and movie character played by Paul Rubens. Yeah, Pee Wee is so very just wound up and very springy, prone to sudden movements and sudden outbursts of his voice.
Kind of the opposite of Backwoods Gravy.
Yeah. That's an excellent way to put it. And so I was leaning towards smooth for a wrong answer for Pee Wee, and I chose Snoop Dogg.
I think Snoop Dogg is what you get if Pee Wee Herman just smoked the biggest doobie. Like once the cloud of smoke cleared, there would be Snoop Dogg.
Mm-hmm. And I would love to see Snoop Dogg in the suit with the red bow tie and the high water pants.
Oh my gosh, it's wonderful.
Pee Wee's Playhouse makes way more sense if you put somebody like Snoop Dogg in it, because then it's just like we're all on this journey with him.
I thought you were going to say it makes a lot more sense if you're high.
Well, that's what I mean.
That too.
Like having Snoop Dogg talking to his chair and his refrigerator or whatever else, and then it's like, yeah, Snoop Dogg, I get it. Like,
I get
So
it
basically, Snoop Dogg adds Izzle to everything. Pee Wee adds Airy to everything, or E to everything.
Oh,
Jambi, Cherry. I mean, it's, so I feel like, there's established precedent there. I think that's good. Hey, Jambi, how you doing?
now. John Bizzle.
Cherry, what's up? Yeah, it's got good potential. I love that.
Andy, let's move on to you.
It's a nice little give and go we have going on here. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since Keanu Reeves is no longer going to be working in the Matrix trilogy and he'll have some free time, I thought he would be the perfect choice to play the genie from Aladdin.
Did you rub my lamp?
Whoa. I can grant wishes.
are we talking 90s Disney Aladdin?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the animated.
Not the live action remake.
I'm sorry, I don't acknowledge that.
Will Smith is blue.
I want to replace the lightning in a bottle that was Robin Williams with
In a lamp.
with molasses in a jar that is Keanu Reeves.
So it's the day after Halloween as we record this, and for the last week I've been playing kind of Halloween lo-fi stuff in the store, which has been great. And I played a channel that had just some kind of remixy kinds of things on it, and one of them had a bunch of samples from Aladdin, and it was all just genie quotes like mixed into this weird, creepy sort of electro swing.
Nice.
And I was like, I forgot how many great lines he had in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
That film, I think we've talked about it in the past. That film was the only way that Robin Williams' talents could actually be captured and put to their proper use, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was perfect.
But anyway, Keanu Reeves is going to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the. No, he doesn't.
he's got the
availability.
He's got the time.
He's got the drive. I think,
here on Remaker's Mark, we're making fun of Keanu Reeves, but let's take a real moment to say he sounds like he's a really good dude.
he is a good dude.
Yeah,
Did you see there was an article about he gave custom Rolexes to all his John Wick stunt people?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, amazing.
So
Good dude.
Good dude, that Keanu Reeves. Hell of a genie.
Yep.
So now that we have Keanu as the genie, I wish to grant you a wish, Kyle, and allow you to give us your third pick. That didn't really work, but go with it anyway.
I pick Infinite Wishes. Yes. So I'm going to be recasting the role of Doc Brown from the Back to the Future series, originally played beautifully and brilliantly, as we have established here very early on, I think, in our show, by Christopher Lloyd. And I thought, the energy that Christopher Lloyd brings, I mean, he is truly extraordinary in this role, and he just brings so much of him to the point where I almost can't separate the two, like Christopher Lloyd is Doc Brown and vice versa. However, I thought, maybe somebody else could have done it better. And that person that I thought really started out with just like, he kind of looks a little bit like Christopher Lloyd. I think there's some potential here. I could see how this could work. And I thought, I would give this a shot. So I decided to cast Stephen Wright, comedian Stephen Wright, as Doc Brown in the Back to the Future series. If you know anything about Stephen Wright, he is opposite Christopher Lloyd in terms of energy. He is as deadpan as you can get, but he does kind of have some floppy hair. And I thought, what the hell? Hair does. I think
this is akin to the Snoop Dogg is Pee-wee kind of pick. I think they're in the same ballpark there. I like that.
Yeah, totally. I just think he would bring a real calming energy. Just if they didn't get back in time. No big deal. It's all good. Let's just be cool about it. Let's just hang out in 1955. They got some great great sodas here. Cool. Egg soda. Yeah. Yes. So Stephen Wright as Doc Brown. I can see it and I can hear it, most importantly.
Speaking of Back to the Future, we recorded that episode in 2013. Would you like to hear who our picks for Doc Brown were?
Yes, I would. Please.
They were, in no particular order, Bruce Campbell, Neil Patrick Harris, Jason Schwartzman, Sam Rockwell, and our winner, Gary Oldman.
Wow. We've definitely gotten better at this job.
But that was Bruce Campbell as Doc Brown is so inspired.
That was brilliant. Yeah. Do you know who that was? That had to have been you, Mark.
That was not. I picked Kyle. Neil Patrick Harris.
Was it me? Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank you.
I was one of them that you said. That was me.
Yeah, you got it. Yep. You were right on.
Exactly right.
You were Jason Schwartzman. Yes. I was Sam Rockwell, and Lee was Gary Oldman.
I went with the Schwartz.
The Schwartz. Got a soft spot for the Schwartz, Andy. Jer, I'm excited to hear about this one. What's your pick?
I wanted to end my final pick with one that is kind of relevant to today, and I wanted to recast James Bond because Daniel Craig just released the final James Bond movie that he will be starring in. So everybody is kind of all aflutter with who's going to be the next James Bond. And there's a lot of names getting thrown out there for who could kind of fill the classic spy shoes of James Bond and who's going to kind of carry the torch forward. And so I thought I would, jump into that fray. One of the names that gets picked a lot in that discussion is Tom Hardy, and I'm just inclined to agree with the masses on this and say Tom Hardy should be the next James Bond, with the caveat that he does the Bane voice.
Bond? James Bond?
I like it shaken, not stirred.
Very good. We are the worst impressioners. I love it.
They all just turn into Sean Connery.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Sean Connery through a breathing tube. Yeah, that's rough.
Yep.
We just we went to see the second Venom movie in the theaters, and that was pretty fun. Pretty dumb, but fun. I was just sort of glad to see a non-Avengers scale movie, just like a tiny little, probably $130 million superhero movie. But in terms of the scope of it, it was just one story, not, an overarching 25
kind of like
movie.
the original Spider-Man from the Marvel Spider-Man movies.
Yep. Totally.
Just a small scale little high school story.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good choice. I like that.
That brings us to our final pick of the series, and it is an iconic one. Lee, who you got?
Well, I thought that there were too few female roles that we were recasting here, so I did an audible and changed over to recasting Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise, and sticking with the idea of recasting actresses kind of that time. I thought the absolute wrong choice for her would be Suzanne Summers.
Oh my gosh.
Because she is not an action hero.
Oh my goodness.
Nope.
She can't do serious roles. She couldn't do serious roles.
That's good.
Leg warmers in space.
Yeah. I actually saw a made-for-TV movie back in like 95 or 94 or something like that, starring Suzanne Summers. She played a single mom who is an alcoholic. So it's supposed to be a really like serious, deep movie, and it was so terrible. And I thought she was especially bad in it. So I thought that's the absolute wrong choice for this role.
Oh man.
There aren't many right choices, unfortunately,
Yeah.
for Suzanne Summers.
Yeah.
No.
Oh man.
Come and knock on our door.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of the movie Jim Cotta? Have we talked about that?
Yeah.
before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why
so,
did we pick that movie?
I know it's
We did not.
It's got to happen at some point. It reminds me of that, how like they hired like a gymnast who can do some karate and then just built a movie around it. So like Suzanne Summers would just bound into every scene. And
Yeah.
sort of like be stretching a lot.
It'd be like a movie about capoeira, if you know what that is.
Yeah, the Brazilian dance
That would be the
fighting.
most boring movie ever.
Well, it's in a couple of movies.
It
Is it?
Oh, for sure.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, that was really fun. I'm really glad we did that. That was a good pick and many good choices and or terrible choices, all the above.
This makes me feel a lot better about our normal episodes.
Right? Yes. Agreed. Good work. Remaker's Mark is a proud member of the Math is Hard Network. To find out more information about this podcast or any other podcast on the network, check us out at mathishard.net. There you will find show notes with links to all of the people, movies, and things discussed in this episode. This information is also attached to the show file in the podcast client of your choice. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Google Play and Apple Podcasts, where you can rate and review Remaker's Mark, which would mean the world to us. We're on Spotify and now YouTube as well. For social media, we're on Facebook, search for Remaker's Mark, Twitter @Remaker's Mark, and Instagram @Remaker's Mark Podcast. So please join in the discussion there too. So, gents, that was really fun. I feel like this is something we might want to just chime in on every once in a while. Maybe it's a segment here or there, or maybe we just do this special episode every once in a while, because this was really fun. I was a fan. I love it. Until the next time where we get to make good answers, make the right choices, may the Force be with you.
And also with you.